Hi, I'm Hannah Boland. I want to thank you all for coming out and coming to hear my story. This is a story about when I was in first grade. I went to a cabin on a hill that was right next to a lake with my sister and family and my aunt and uncle. We drove to this cabin, and while we were driving it was raining. And it was late at night when we got there, so Mom put us to bed. And while we were put in bed, Mom and Dad and my aunt and uncle were all sitting out on the porch. And when they were out on the porch, they started to notice that the water was rising and that the lake was flooding. And so while they were out there, they saw the water rising, and what they decided to do was to keep a watch on it for a couple more hours while it continued to rain. Continued to rain even more, and it started to rise as high as one-story buildings. And so then people started to jump out of their houses into the water and started swimming to our cabin on the hill. So then they decided to continue to watch the rain, and once the water got up to about a fourth of the way up the hill, they decided that we should probably move to higher ground. So Mom woke us up and put on our hiking boots, and we went hiking up the hill. Now, my sister was 3 years old, so she wasn't very good at hiking in water that came up to your knees. So she was passed around between everybody who was there. I was crying the whole time because I thought we were all going to die. Tended to be my mentality at 6 years old. We hiked up the hill, and we got to a deer shack. And once we got to the deer shack at the top of the hill, we broke into it, and we stayed there until we could find somewhere else to go. I saw a scorpion in that deer shack and was scared of being in the deer shack because of the scorpion, which wasn't bugging anybody. But I was screaming the whole time because of the scorpion. And my dad was calling 911, trying to see if we could get some help from them. But they said that since we were in a safe location and we weren't in danger, that they weren't going to come help us. So then my dad and some of the other guys in the group decided to walk around and try to see if we could find someone else to help us out. And about 30 minutes later, a couple came on golf carts, and they picked up my sister and I, and we went back with them to their house. And they're very nice people. They gave us a shower, and they gave me this awesome teddy bear to sleep with so that I would stop crying. And we spent the night there, and then the next day the water all kind of resided away, and we went back to our cabin, and we noticed that the water only got up to about 3/4 of the way up to the cabin. So we didn't even have to go up the mountain like we did. And we drove back home. And on our way back home, we saw a whole bunch of clothes in the trees, and we would see like semi-trucks flipped over, and those big storage bins, instead of being in the storage bin area, they were in the middle of the forest, and a lot of people outside trying to clean up after everything. And so this story, the whole reason why I told this story, is because it taught me about the kindness of other people, and how at 6 years old, I could tell that the people who brought us in, really, they didn't have to do that. They didn't have to take us into their house, and they could have just stayed in their house by themselves and just, bunkered down. But they were outside, and they were willing to help us even though we were stranded. And so it showed me how you have to really get out into the community and how to spread the kindness to everybody. It also showed me that even if I were to have lost everything in the flood, that we would have had our family and we would have figured out a way to get back home. It also showed me that whenever you take a trip, you check to see if there's a cabin near a lake, and if that cabin is on top of a hill in case the lake floods. And that's it.